Empathy is one of the greatest meta skills you could ever have. A meta skill is like a skill of skills. It's an abstraction of skills that show themselves prevalent in a lot of different things. So let's say financial ability, technical ability, analytical ability, reflexes, financial, technical, analytical, descriptive ability, literary ability. The abstraction of all of these abilities would be intelligence, because that functions in all of them. So empathy is one of those amazing meta skills that you can learn. It's a top tier, S tier skill. Of the 60 odd books I've read this year, about 20 to 30 of them have all mentioned how important empathy is, especially empathy with other people. Obviously that's what empathy is, but also self-empathy and self-understanding in that way, because we tend to dissociate from ourselves a lot, like when we're on our phones a lot as well, and just the way things are set up now, it's like it's easier to live someone else's life, so we don't associate with ourselves. But when you can empathize with yourself in your own position, I found empathizing with myself allows me to empathize with other people easier. Like, I never lie to myself about anything anymore. I got that out to me in high school, luckily, and it's been one of the best skills ever. Just don't lie to yourself. Saves you so much fucking time doing mental gymnastics to, what's the word? It saves you so much time doing mental gymnastics to justify your poor behavior. Like, I was a dickhead. Yeah, that's the kind of honesty you should try and have with yourself. And when you can self-empathize and you understand things about yourself, you understand human nature on such a deeper level, to the spot where you can start to realize why people do certain things. Like a lot of the times we all want the same things, we go about them differently, and that's not a bad thing. We're all different. That's what makes life worthwhile. I wouldn't want to live in a life where people were just like me. I'd get annoyed. I'll explain to you the way I became more empathetic. I was in primary school and I'd always struggled to have friends because I was a bit of a shithead. So one of my friends who was also quite a shithead, because if you think about it, children, you're always shitheads. I have a very good top-down perspective of myself when I was younger. Like, I could see all the stupid shit I was doing. I just couldn't do anything about it. So that's why I can remember them quite well. So I remember being a bit of a shithead with this guy, and I tried being like nice to him, and then he would always come back with like, just be empathetic. Like, don't you understand empathy? And I was like, what is empathy? I'm 7. And he was constantly like trying to explain, like, just think how I feel. And I tried thinking how he felt. And that's when I realized, like, this guy's kind of a dickhead as well. Like, if this is how he feels, I don't want to be friends with him, because I would do certain things where I would disagree with him, and then he would get like manically upset, and I realized, like, it's probably just not for me right now. And then we drifted apart in high school and stuff. But though that visceral reaction I had to his complaints, likely due to my own insecurities when it comes to people telling me I'm wrong or something. I don't know if any of you have read Complex PTSD From Surviving to Thriving. It's an amazing book. I'll definitely talk about that one day. But the one of the responses mentioned in there that we can have, so our sympathetic nervous system, during times of high stress, we can go into a state of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So fight is fight, flight, run. Freeze, like just, and fawn would be a neediness to fix things, to have things be better. I've always fallen in there every time. Like, it's really difficult for me to talk about, but if something goes wrong, I always assume I'm at fault and it's something inherently wrong with me. So I have to fix things, or I have to be different, or I know where it comes from. I won't get into it now, but. So whenever something is pointed out to me as something that I've done incorrectly, I pay 200% attention. So I'm deeply aware of all of my flaws and stuff. It's kind of shit for some things, but it's helped me a lot as well. I'm grateful for the way I am. I'm happy I'm not like a fight response or a flight response. I tend to stick things out. I just have to make a conscious awareness to know when I am being overly fawnish, when I'm being overly protective of something that is out to hurt me in the long run. But that reaction to his empathy remarks made me realize, okay, I'll be more empathetic. And I could understand people on such a deep level, even in high school. Like, people are shitheads in high school, you know. But I could understand every single reason as to why something occurred. And when I spoke with the people, just like became friends with them, I saw like, okay, I was right. And I'm not saying I completely understand people still. I'm single as fuck, so I definitely don't understand women. But I do empathize with people on such a deep level. It allows you so many avenues to understand them and to want better for them. That's part of the reason I started doing this stuff. I know how it feels to not know want to know certain things. And the answer is fucking like reading. That's a big thing I come up with this year. The answer is just reading stuff. It's difficult, but like listen to an audiobook, whatever. You'll find out everything you want to know. YouTube videos help a lot. That's why I'm making these. They help a lot. But I more or less want to make these to emphasize certain books to people and to help them get the knowledge that they need, because ultimately that's what I want to do. I want to help people and solve issues and solve problems. That's what I want to do with this channel. And that empathetic response that I have, that also led me to figuring out what I want to do. It was like, what do I want to do that would also be helpful to people, that I know would be helpful to people, because I know what I need. I can see what these people need because of my empathetic response. Some people call it emotional intelligence as well, but if they're interchangeable, then yeah, empathy, emotional intelligence, whatever. The sun's going down. It's probably gonna be my last video for the day. But if you can become much more empathetic, that will be next level. Funny story. One of the Adventure Time episodes that also got me was I think it was called Donnie. It was when Finn was friends with this big leaf guy, and then he was like, "Donnie, you're being such a jerk. We gotta teach you empathy." And then they taught him the empathy song. Empathy, empathy, place your mind in the place of me. Something like that. And then Donnie became like a good person just by becoming empathetic. But if you think about it, as much as it sometimes seems like the people on top aren't empathetic, or that they're like shitty, the people we look up to generally are quite empathetic people. They do things for other people. People don't get to in an ideal world, people wouldn't get to high status positions without being empathetic. Even in animal hierarchy, in like chimpanzee hierarchy, it's not necessarily the biggest, most muscular chimp that's like, ooh, I'm top dog. It is the most cooperative. Cooperation requires a lot of empathy. You'll realize that when you go into like any kind of working environment. Those kind of softer skills with the harder skills, that optimal balance, that provides the best results. So figure out your empathy. If you don't have it, get better at it, and you'll find out throughout all these books, finance books, influencing books, what else, spiritual books, relationship books, dating books, you're always going to find out about empathy. One of the big things I found actually with the dating books now is an interesting one. I remembered it is like, think of yourself in this person's position of the female or male. In my case, female, you're trying to attract. Would you be attracted to a person who didn't have all the shit together? And be like, no. In that way, you know what I mean? So it made me like, yeah, get your shit together. Be the kind of person that's worth being attracted to in that way, and be the kind of businessman who's worth doing business with. Be the kind of business owner who's worth owning this business, you know, different things like that. Like when you become empathetic, it also hurts your ego a lot. It's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't give myself the time of day in a lot of instances. And if you feel like that, you should get better. You definitely are worthy as a person, but you have to earn the things that you want. I look like Batman now, like half my face is black. That's enough for today. Peace out, boys. How's Ash Lord?